everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Book Talk. Let's talk today to an enthusiastic youngster who has recently published her debut poetry book. She is a French language professional working in the translation, teaching, and writing space. Let's learn about her new poetry book. Hi, Sanhita.
Hello,
Welcome to the show.
thank you.
Sanhita, nice poems. It's an interesting book. I love the poetry you have written. Thank you for writing it.
Thank you for reading and appreciating it. It means a lot to the writer.
Thank you. So, what inspired you to write this collection of poems?
Um, I've always been writing since I'm a child. My parents had brought me these poetry books, which had British poets, American poets. I think it was a mix of the two. And there's this one poetry book which I specifically remember. I would make my dad read poems from that book because it was very um, aesthetically pleasing for a child. When you see all the illustrations and this that, you want to read that. So it was called like a treasure of poems, and it had poems of Robert Louis Stevenson, Alfred Lord Tennyson, Christina Rossetti, um, John Keats, Charles Kingsley, and a few others, but a lot of poems of these poets that I mentioned. And I think I started writing poems after reading all these poetry books, and I've always said that I would like to publish something of mine one day, and this came as a golden opportunity. So I took it and I published this poetry book, and did not step back out of nervousness. Sometimes you do feel, will people like it? Will they? What will they think? But I really had to push that aside and be like, no, no, you have to publish it this time. You have to give it to the world this time. So here it is.
That's a very good decision, Sahita. I'm really glad. So,
So
what role
what?
does poetry play in your life?
Uh, well, firstly, the entertainment purpose. Sometimes you just want to read those joyous, happy poems when you're going through like a bad day or like a bad time in your life. Reading something positive helps you. Um, then life lessons. Some poems have the satire where they present the situation in the world. There was this poem that we had done in second year called Death of a Mad Dog. It was a
Okay.
lot of satire, and like at first you don't, because sometimes some sort of satire is very difficult to understand. So
Hmm.
thankfully, because we had really nice teachers, when she explained the poem, it was quite heavy, or the
Hmm.
lessons that were in that poem. And
Okay.
other than that, sometimes I would say, maybe also I would say, other than entertainment, life lessons, also sometimes there is you learn how to incorporate humor in
Hmm.
poetry, because I
Okay.
think when you're doing like a skit, or when you're
Hmm.
writing a play, I think humor is slightly easier. I think it's
Hmm.
slightly difficult to incorporate the humor in poems.
Hmm.
So seeing how these great poets have done it, I don't remember it was which author who said this, but they were saying that the hardest thing to do is to incorporate humor. That is the hardest role than writing something that is deep, dark, or sad. Writing humor
Hmm.
is very difficult. So learning the different types of humor and satire and
Hmm.
sarcasm in poetry, that definitely there.
Oh, okay. That's nice. So, I think because you have read a wide range of poetry since childhood, it uh, mm, it also helps you in understanding various things, I guess.
Yes, I agree.
Right. Right. Sanhita, you have written about travel. So, do you think traveling gives you a sense of self discovery, and how does that come through in your poems?
Definitely, especially my solo trip, which is the poem called Solo, which is there.
Hmm. Right.
I made a very spontaneous decision to go to Bangkok. I was first asking my parents, since I have some free time before I start like working again, we could do like
Mhm.
a short trip to Bangkok, and they weren't too fond. They were like because they prefer the old cities and where you can paintings and scenery. So they weren't really
Mhm.
interested in something that's Bangkok is a little more modern, unless you go to like the ancient cities, which are there to explore. So I just said, okay, if you're not coming, I'll go alone. And they were very surprised. They're like, huh, you're gonna go alone? I'm like, sure, I'm fine going alone. I can speak a bit of Thai as well, so I think I'll be
Oh, okay.
like if I have to
Mhm.
bargain, I know how to bargain in Thai. I'll make sure they don't. I know how to bargain. I'll be fine there. You don't have to worry about me. Um, but of course, they did really. Our travel agent, she had really planned a very nice trip where it was just for 5 days, and there was the pre-planned like the cars to take me, etc. Because sending
Okay.
alone to another country was like a big is like a khatro ke khiladi thing for my parents. But I convinced them, I'll be fine. And I think that
Mhm.
definitely helped me, the self discovery, as you said, that I can do some things on my own, and there was no one to kind of tell me, like when you go through those guided tours, they'll be like, we're going here. They don't really let you go where you want to go.
Right.
I had the
Mhm.
liberty to move around the area and just explore the shops and places on my own. So that trip is very significant. And the other trip, which I've mentioned in the book, is about Kenya. And that also
Yeah.
taught me a lot, especially from
Hmm.
the animals. You learn a lot of things, how they just live in harmony. There were
Oh.
there was this man who used to feed birds at one of the
Hmm.
hotels because it was up on the hill. So all the birds
Okay.
that are on the that sit on the higher branches like
Hmm.
vultures. So they used
Hmm.
to be fed, and there were also the other birds who used to be in the lakes. So there were the ducks, obviously from the lakes. I never
Mhm.
saw the vultures attack the ducks. The vultures would have
Oh.
their section. The ducks would make their own section. They never fought with each other. I was really scared. I thought the vultures would do something to the smaller birds. I was afraid whenever they would tell us, "Do you want to watch the bird feeding? We're going to feed all the birds now." I used to be scared
Mhm.
something happens, but
My God.
thing happened. They were all in harmony. They're all eating whatever was being given. No one was pinching each other with their beaks. Nothing was happening. So that also taught
Oh.
me a lot about how we should all live in harmony.
Nature teaches us so much. Hmm.
Nature is a big teacher.
Nice. Right. In contrast to the adventurous side of your travel poems and discovery, your poems on happiness have a delicate feel. Am I right?
Yes.
And do you think poetry has the power to evoke happiness in both the writer and the reader?
Yes. Yes. From the writer's perspective, I would say, while you're writing the poems about happiness, you also are in a very good mood. And
Mhm.
if you are not in a good mood before, if you were not in a good mood before, while writing, you just get happy again.
Mm.
And
Right.
as for the readers, if they were having a bad day or if they're just going through something, a short happy poem can really make you, it can really just change
Mhm.
the mood, change the atmosphere. So for both the writer and the reader, the happy poems can bring a big change in the mood.
Okay, okay, that's a nice explanation. How do you balance personal experiences with universal themes when writing about family?
This was something that one of my close friends pointed out when she brought the
Mhm.
poetry book. Some of my friends, they purchased the book and they were like, "We want your autograph on the book."
Oh, nice.
While signing the books, we were discussing the book and I wanted to know what they felt. And
Mhm.
one of my close friends from college, she said, something I noticed in your poems, if you're writing about family or if anybody, you've not taken any names, you've kept it open ended. Um, uh, because sometimes, I mean, which is understandable, sometimes when people literally mention the family member or the friend in detail who hurt them, that is also
Yeah.
important because they want
Mhm.
the their hurt part to be heard. They want the
Mhm.
person who did it to be out in the world. um, when I was writing, I was also, thinking, I understand the viewpoint of the people who take the names, but I thought, along with the experiences I had, I also wish that the people who have had experiences like me should, feel that, this is for us also, which is why I
Mhm.
don't take any names, I don't take any relation of whoever
Okay.
has created any negative impact. I've just kept it open ended. The ones who know, the ones who don't,
They
you
will.
can keep guessing. It's okay, you can make your guesses.
Yeah, in this way, I think it becomes more universal. Can you share how your understanding of love has evolved through your writing?
uh, like I write in the poem Friendships, which is where I've
Mhm.
mentioned how I don't know about romantic love. I only know about platonic love. Because I would say I have been fortunate that the two main types of love that influence the romantic choices you make in the future are the parental love and your friends. If that wasn't good enough, then you end up making, I don't want to say bad choices, but not good choices in the future,
Mhm.
because what you see is what you think is correct.
Mhm.
So I've been
Right.
I've been fortunate that I have very supportive parents. So I have seen what kind of partner I should have. So if he's not,
Mhm.
I will just put my shoes on and leave. I won't stay
Mhm.
if anything goes wrong. We have all had bad friends, of course, but then you ignore that part and you just stick to all the good friends that you have and what you've learned from them, how constantly supportive they have been, all the advice that they give you. So if you have good friends and you have a good family, that can really shape your other choices.
Mhm.
So I think that has come in the poems.
Oh, nice. Mhm. Do you find poetry to be a way to heal from your grief?
I do, yes. Uh,
Okay.
Especially when I was reading the elegies that great poets have written about other poets or someone that they loved. I thought, when you're reading, it just makes you, think what was this person going through when they wrote the elegy. And which is why even when I was writing the elegies, I've written two. And there is one about a person who I have lost. So
Mhm.
they were also very. It was so the writing these poems was very cathartic. It was a whole
Mhm.
process of catharsis and venting. So and writing really does help me
Mhm.
personally. So journaling and writing, that is my catharsis and venting.
Okay.
Whatever I have to
Okay.
say, I just
Right.
my journal,
Put
my
it there. Yeah.
so that is a big help. So I
Mhm.
definitely think when you write also it helps, and the ones who read poems about grief also, seeing this happening to another person can also help you out, that you are not the only one
Mhm.
grieving. There are others. The things that they write can also kind of, how do I say, like, give you closure.
Mhm. Right. Mhm. Yeah, and that is so important for us to heal. Sahita, which poem in your collection do you feel most connected to?
This is a very hard question because it's like choosing my favorite child. But I would, since I have to choose, I will go with Moving On, which is the second poem
Oh,
in uh,
yes.
and because I think that the poem Moving On was a big catharsis.
Mm,
I really did went out a lot that I felt.
mm,
So I would say Moving On, and the second one would be Quarter, which is the last poem in the book, as I
right.
completed a quarter century of
Mm,
life. That's why that one is very significant. All
wow.
all the lessons that I've learned to do, and then
Mm.
hopefully I learn from them and don't make the same mistakes in the next quarter.
Sanita, please take us through your creative process. Like, how do you go from an idea to a finished poem?
Um, So I will say, as one who is a poetry purist, for me,
Mhm,
the idea is also important, but also putting it in a rhyme scheme. I
mhm,
have grown up reading so much ABCB and AABB that I guess they are the reason why I also prefer and really enjoy writing ABCB. I
mhm.
can't for life reverse. It just doesn't occur to me. I prefer
Oh,
in a pattern, and obviously it's a sometimes it gets harder to find the right words. Sometimes it's very easy, it comes naturally, but sometimes you have
mhm,
to think how it will fit in the pattern. So there is the
mhm,
idea. When the idea comes, as it comes I write, and sometimes there are multiple drafts to a poem, sometimes just two. uh, so I think it differs for each poem, and I can
mhm,
definitely say that in the 21 poems that are there, some were very quick. The whole poem came through in like 10 minutes.
mhm.
Then there were others that took days.
Okay.
Idea came
Oh,
fast,
okay.
but
Huh.
writing the poem, the final version took many days. So I think
Mhm.
it just differs for every poem.
Okay. Who are the poets or literary works that influence you?
Uh, So I think I would like to go with Christina Rossetti and her poem, because
Mhm,
the poetry books that I had a lot of her work, and
mhm,
a lot of the favorites that I have from that book are by her. And because her poems, they're just very fun to read, but also I think for children's books, I think it's
mhm.
difficult to write children's books because the adult has to think from the child's perspective.
Right.
So I enjoyed reading her work as a kid, and I think she's just an excellent poet. So Christina Rossetti, and then Robert Louis Stevenson poem The Swing is one of my favorites.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
used to make my father read it even though you were done reading it. He's like, I've already read this for you. I'm like, I know, but I want you to read it again. I really love that.
I
Uh,
see.
well, they were
Mhm,
I would say there that specific collection of poetry is the one that has made me how I am as a poet. I think when it comes to the rhyme
okay.
scheme, the ideas, there's the visual element. So that
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you. What do you hope people take away from reading your book?
uh, so since there are like different sections to go with that,
Mhm,
well, firstly, I would like to mention that I may
mhm,
have made like a slight, well, not mistake, but I forgot to
mhm,
mention one of my elegies
mhm.
who it's about. In one of them, I
Okay.
did mention who it's about, but the other one, I kind of slipped. I didn't realize
Mhm,
later when I had sent in the draft that oh, I didn't mention in the brackets who this is about. So
mhm,
apologies to the readers who don't know who this elegy is about.
mhm. Uh-huh.
But I would say for the people who know the two artists on whom the elegy is written, I hope
Mhm,
that for them, they would know that these people were, their music is so impactful, and hopefully this elegy also helped them uh, on whatever they feel about that artist.
mhm.
Um, And then for the two travel poems, I hope that the people who went on solo trips and on these unexpected, trips to locations they didn't expect to ever go to. So I hope that my poems kind of remind them of when they had gone and help them just go down the memory lane and remember their experiences. Um,
Mm.
but most importantly, the thing that I want people to hopefully take away from this is that. Healing is not linear. If you feel any grief, it's not supposed to be this or this. It will be like this. It will be like a cardiogram. It will not
Oh,
be a traditional
that's a nice
graph.
analogy.
I had read that somewhere that healing is like a cardiogram. It's not a straight line or anything. It's not your perfect mathematics graph. It will be like a medical graph
Yeah,
where there's lots
yeah,
of lines, ups and downs, because that is how life is. Life will never go in one
correct.
direction, one way. So I really want people to know that healing is not linear. Grieving is a continuous process, even though people will keep telling you, it's already been that long. Like, why are you still feeling sad about this? You don't understand. Let
Mm.
people grieve on their own. It is their life, it is their mind. So if anyone is telling you that you need to move on, which is why I wrote that poem, moving on, that it is very difficult
Mm.
to move on, and people are trying. It's not that they're not, it's not that they're refusing to move on, but sometimes it's very difficult. So this is
Mm.
also a message to people that tell other people to move on. Don't tell them, let them take their own time. And
Right.
to anyone who doesn't feel worthy anymore after all the comments that they receive from people, just know that these people are just sadists,
Mm.
and they just enjoy making others feel bad, and you will have to convince yourself that these are just sadists. You are worthy, so I want them to take that. And some of my poems have this some of the poems I had written about the society that we live in, how we are not liberated yet. Us women are not
Mm.
liberated yet. It's still going on the way it used to centuries ago. Uh, I know that when in one of the previous book readers episodes I had done discussed a book on
Mm.
feminism, and a
Mm.
lot of people will always say, "But what? It's like better than what it was, right?"
Mm.
No, because some examples of what's happening now, exactly the same thing used to happen during the Roman and Greek period. It's not changed.
Mm.
2000, 3000 years, and it's still the same. I think our ancestors would be very upset knowing that things haven't changed. So I
Mm.
kind of want people to take away that they need to be a part of the change. uh,
Mm.
we need to have a lot of changes in what's happening. So
Right.
obviously celebrate all the changes that are happening, but also we all
Mm.
need to collectively work towards certain things to make this
Things.
world a better place.
Okay. Okay. Mhm. Sanita, what's next for you? Are you planning another poetry book or a short story collection or a novel, a novella?
Maybe, maybe. I can't reveal much. Maybe.
Very soon, yes. So, do you also plan to write in French?
I do write poems in French.
Oh,
Uh,
is it? So,
yes,
will we see a poem collection in French also?
maybe, maybe. I
Again,
don't know. I've written uh, I've written equal number of poems in French and Spanish.
oh, okay. Nice.
Then
That's interesting. So, three languages already.
yes,
Wow. So, Sanhita, please recite a poem from your collection.
uh, right. This is again very difficult to choose which poem to recite because they're all such favorites. But I think I'll
Right.
go with the poem that This has been the most popular poem that I've been hearing is a favorite from all the people who have read the book. 90% have mentioned this poem. So she is clearly the star of the book. So I will recite that poem, which is
Sure.
poem number
Mhm.
15. It is called The Mind Palace, uh,
Oh,
as is in
yes. Yeah.
a peek to my mind palace. So this is the poem that takes you
Mm.
inside my mind palace. So wear your
Yes.
seatbelts as we explore this one and take a tour. Um, Let us take a look at my mind palace. Fasten your seatbelts. It is a fascinating place. First, the living room, the absolute chaos. Fashion, food, and fandoms, too messy. Let us cross. Here in the corner is a little storage place for anxiety and negativity that want the whole place. You have to be careful. Those two are nasty. While on your healing journey, they interrupt. Not so classy. Out we go from this door. There is this little pool. You never know what's in it. Who knows? A creativity jewel. Last but so not the least, the basement of the unconscious. Randomly, while I chill, they pop up and sheepishly ask, "Remember us?" Wait, don't go. Don't worry, it's all okay. It may seem scary and suspicious, but it's interesting in its own way.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sanhita. This was good. I hope to see your French and Spanish poem collections very soon.
Hopefully, I write those many to publish them because writing in these is obviously a more difficult task, especially
Right.
as I am a poem purist to find the idea, put it in meter and the rhyme scheme. So you have the
Okay.
big 3 points to cover, but hopefully I do publish them. If there's not a book, they will at least be on a blog, so that
Mhm.
my poems are not just restricted to people who can who read English. So the ones that can't read English, don't worry, other language poems are coming for you.
They're coming up. Yes. Very nice. I wish you all the best for your upcoming writing ventures.
Thank you so much.
So, Sanhita, this book is available online and offline as well in bookstores, right?
Uh, yes, so you can buy the book on Amazon for the physical copy, and if you want a digital copy, you have to check the bookstore of the publishing house, Bookleaf Publishing. You can find the
Okay.
digital copy there.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much for joining, Sanhita. See you again with a new book.
Yes,
Okay, bye bye. Have a good day.
you too.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me in conversation with Sanhita. To buy her book, please check out the description box. You will find all the links there to buy the book online and offline. See you in the next episode with a new book with a new author or poet. Till then, have a good day. Bye bye.